Okay, I'm back. This is part two. This is Prophet 6, Family Prophets, the Angel, the Church of the Laodicea. I guess I'm kind of giving a testimony, and I'm letting you all know that yes, I am going to be doing more videos, and I just want to reassure you that I haven't forgot about you. For those 5 people that actually missed my video, there may have been more, and they just didn't contact me. But just to let you know how realistic I am. I know I have 150 subscribers, but I know probably not that many people are watching my videos. I get it. Okay. People brag about, how many people they have subscribers, but you know, be more concerned about the content of your videos than how many people following you. You know, um, it don't matter really how many people follow you, and you don't really know how many people are really following you, and you don't know why they following you either. So just do what you do from your heart, and that's the only really thing that matters. Don't try to do it to get a following. But anyway, as I was saying in part one of my testimony, so I'm engrossed in studying the 144,000. I go visit this church. I forget the name of the city it was in. But it was a really small town. The town was really small, like 2 blocks long, and you would be out of town. So then I was sitting in the Sabbath school class, and usually I don't go to sleep in Sabbath school. 99.9% of the time, you can't get me to go to. Well, I'm talking about back then. Now I cannot go to sleep in Sabbath school. And one reason why I usually don't stay for what they call the divine 11 o'clock hour. The divine hour for me is Sabbath school. Period. I don't need all that, just wasting time. Unanointed speaking and all. I don't need it. Motivational speaking, I really not big on motivational speaking, So but anyway, so this day I was nodding off in Sabbath school, and they were studying the book of Joel, chapter 2. Now, I had no idea the interconnection between Joel 2 and the 144,000. But as I'm kind of like drowsy in the Sabbath school class, a war breaks out in the Sabbath school class between the Sabbath school teacher and a lady sitting in the audience with her head covered with a head covering. It wasn't a hat. It was like a scarf. It was a scarf. And she was saying that she said that the army in Joel, this is what the argument was about. The army in Joel chapter 2 wasn't the angels. Wasn't the angels. She said it's the 144,000. So I'm sitting in the back, and as I'm, like drowsy, I know I have my eyes closed, but I'm just fighting to sleep. You know how you first start fighting to sleep? And when she said 144,000, that woke me up. And then I saw that the dynamic levels of both the teacher and the lady sitting in the audience with a head covering on began to increase. Now, usually the only time any types of passion that I've ever seen comes into a Sabbath school class that I've attended is when I'm there. And this is way before I subscribed to uh, the shepherd rod teachings, embraced it. So I'm like, what is this? So I'm waking up like 144,000 dynamic levels go up. The lady gets at the desk gets angry. The other lady, she's persistent, but she's keeping her composure. And they was going back and forth. And I'm like, whoa, somebody else knows something about the 144,000. And so I open up my Bible to see what they're arguing about. Job 2. I don't really know anything about Job chapter 2 in particular of note that's interconnected to the 104,000. And so I'm reading and so, okay. Okay, it's great people and the strong, the like this there never been and never will be. A fire devoured before them and flame burnt behind them. A great people and the strong. Ooh, wow. And so I'm listening, and lady said, this is the 144,000. Read verse so-and-so, so-and-so. Read verse so-and-so, so-and-so. These are not angels. And she's proving it from the chapter. And I'm like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow. So I'm listening to the lady. The lady who's teaching the Sabbath school class, who's actually getting, organizing this small little church that was a company and about to become a church. And she wasn't bringing any proof from the chapter that this is 144,000. So after the class, it was like it raised to a fever pitch. I made a beeline to this lady who had her head covered. And so I was talking to her, and I was noticing how people were staying away from her and stuff. And it looked like she was about to leave. So I grabbed her right at the vestibule. There's other people in the vestibule, and I asked her, I say, you know something about the 144,000? I said, why do you say that these people in Job chapter 2 is the 144,000? And so she started going through the scriptures, and I'm noticing around me, people like staring at us and looking and staring at her. And so I'm pretty loud. This is a small church, and my voice carries like thunder a lot of times. That's what people tell me. So I'm just talking like normal, like nothing's wrong. Not because, I don't know nothing. I don't know what's going on here. So I'm like, oh, okay. So this is the 144,000. I'm talking loud, you know. And it's not like I'm forcing my straining. I just naturally, my voice carries. I'm probably waking up everybody in my house right now. Let me see, what time is it? Okay. 6 o'clock, they should be up anyway. But anyway, so I'm talking to her and everything. She's showing me these scriptures. I'm like, woo, this is beautiful. I said, man. I said, where did you get this from? And I'm loud. But I'm noticing that people around me are looking at us, and especially her, sideways. Look cockeyed. Like a concern, like, yeah, and like, and I'm like, wow, what is this? Where did you get this from? And I'm all loud. The church is very small, y'all. The vestibule was as probably big as this room here. Probably about, well, maybe a little bigger, 13 by 12. And it's probably about 12 people in there. It's crowded. So I'm like, where do you get this from? And I see her face like, oh, boy. And she was looking kind of strange, like, oh, boy. Now, on retrospect, looking back, it's like, she was like, boy, he loud. Now, I knew what the face was. It's like, boy, he's loud. Man, he's putting me on blast. But I'm really, like, curious. Around that time, I was probably about 24. Yeah, about 24, 23, 24 years old. Nah, 24 years old. About 24 years old. So I'm all loud, young, energetic, studying the 144,000, and now somebody brings the 144,000 up and shows me some other clues in the Bible concerning the 140. So I'm elated. I'm electrified. So I'm all loud and everything. And I'm like, where did you get this from? And I saw her face just change. Now, she was already looking very uncomfortable, but her face changed. She's like, where did you get this from? And she didn't say anything. I said, where did you get this from? She didn't want to say. It was too many people around. And she said, her dynamic level went down. I said, what? She said, the shepherd's rod. And my eyes bucked open. I said, shepherd's rod? And boy, you should have seen this lady. She could have crawled up under the heel of her shoe. Because I'm all loud, shepherd's rod? And I'm all surprised. She didn't know what my reaction was going to be. I said, oh, this is a shepherd's rod message? And everybody in the vestibule got quiet. I said, man, I've been looking for this for about 5 years. No, that would be 10 years. Yeah, because I came into the Adventist church when I was 16. So 10 years I wanted to meet a person that was a shepherd's rod. What Adventists call a shepherd's rod, but really are Davidians. And so when she said that, my eyes bucked open just like this. And I said, shepherd's rod, real loud. Wow, I've been looking for y'all for 10 years. And boy, you could hear a pin drop in that place. I said, do you have any literature? Because I heard that y'all pass out literature. And I'm saying all this stuff in front of all these people. This lady. So we end up going outside and talking. I said, you got any literature? I heard y'all pass out literature. And I'm just going on and on and on. There's people standing outside. This lady is embarrassed and concerned. Or concerned. So I'm just all loud. I'm like, wow, shepherd's rod. Woo. What do y'all teach? I heard y'all pass out literature. Do you have any literature? You got something on this about the 144,000? I want to know. What do you got? Give it. So she gave me one track. I said, I heard y'all have a whole bunch of literature. This is all y'all got? I said, y'all have a movement based on this one thing? She said, no, we have more literature. I said, I want everything you got. I never, God blessed me while I was, when I didn't believe when I didn't have the shepherd's rod message. When I didn't have the shepherd's rod message, I never became like Seventh-day Adventists and like Jehovah's Witnesses. They can, and most Christians can't listen to nobody else and learn nothing else. Stay away from that. I never listened to these pastors, and I really didn't know how wicked the pastoral apparatus is in the aggregate. I really didn't know even how wicked it was. But God kept me from that spirit of pastor said it, I do it. I never had that spirit. I believe it's black magic. I really do. It is black, the worst kind of sorcery. I don't even know why people believe that in any denomination. But anyway, so she gave me some literature. I read that thing right there. I was blown away by what I was reading. She gave me a track on the stone of Daniel 2. That thing messed my head up. I was like, oh, you telling me the stone is the 144,002 in the Bible? Woo! Woo! So when I got that information, I started Amazing Facts is right there. I started going to Amazing Facts, getting all the literature I could find on Daniel chapter 2. And I'm comparing, praying in the Holy Ghost as I'm studying, praying, studying, fasting, barricading myself in my little travel trailer. And I'm studying like a warrior. I'm just studying. I'm like, oh boy. Went to Joe Cruz, asked him about it. And I saw Joe Cruz all the time, talked to him and everything. And I've been asking him about it. He says, not true. He said a stone couldn't be. And I looked up to Joe Cruz. Huge. Not like an idol, but I really respected this man. When he couldn't prove to me that the stone was not the 144,000, I was shocked. And I'm talking to Joe Cruz like every day. I mean, people saw him. You saw him around town, everywhere. I was shocked. And the excuses that he was giving when we was going over the scriptures was so weak and lame. I had many of his tapes. A lady gave to me. I worked on her house. She gave me like 200 tapes. And I just listened to this guy avidly every day. When this guy couldn't explain to me stuff that made sense, I was like, wow. When he couldn't tell me what the 144,000 were literally, I was like, whoa, something's wrong here. So when I met this lady, I got more literature studies. I'm showing you some of my evolution. So I didn't stop being a Laodicean because I ran into that message. As a matter of fact, Davidians look at themselves as super Laodiceans. So try that on for size. So that took me deeper into Adventism, because we look at ourselves as super Laodiceans. And Davidians believe that the 7-day Laodicea is the last phase of Christianity, that God is going to allow wheat and tares to be mingled together. They believe that. So it didn't take me out of Laodicea. It anchored me in, fastened me in, drilled me down, riveted me down, welded me down into the Adventist, i.e. Laodicean Seventh-day Adventist Church. Absolutely. Actually, it made me more proud to be. Not because of our condition, but that we were the apple of God's eye and the object upon which he bestows his supreme regard. I said, boy, I'm really in the right place. But then, last year, the end of last year, 2014, I guess I'm going to let this one go for 20 minutes too. This video go for 20 minutes. I am studying I'm surfing YouTube and everything and studying more information about Israel and the nation of Israel, and so the Hebrew Israelites come on my screen and they start talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, and they got a chart, which I believe, by the way, is false. I believe the chart is false that the Hebrew Israelites have. I don't believe it's correct. Now, there may be one of these charts that is correct. I don't know which one is. I'm just investigating, okay? But I don't believe these charts that they have. Mexicans are this tribe, and Puerto Ricans are this tribe, and Haitians are Levi, they say, and the Dominicans are this, and I don't believe those charts. Those charts are real suspicious to me. And let me tell you this, when I was studying the Shepherd's Rod message, it's some things that after I got deep into the teaching and had studied it a year, and they held a school of the prophets in Exeter, Missouri. I went there for 6 months and I just threw myself in it for 6 months. That I studied it, and they have a little compound down there. And I studied the got engrossed, and I really wanted to get into I wanted to gut the teaching and look at each part of the teaching, analyze it. And I don't know what kind of student they thought I was. Going to swallow things hook, line, and sinker. It's some things, not the foundational teachings, but there's some inconsistencies in some of the nuances of the teaching. Just like it is with Seventh-day Adventist teachings. There really is some, not with the foundation of it, but with the nuances, is in some particulars, but the foundation, I believe, is sure. Laodicea's foundation that Christ has laid, I believe, is strong. The 2300 day teaching, strong. The Sabbath, strong. The health message, strong. The eschatology, the soteriology is on point. But with each one of these things, there is some cow's dung, and I would even say man's dung. Now, if you're not familiar with Isaiah chapter 11 through 8 through 11, you don't know what in the world I'm talking about. Okay, but well, let's say Isaiah 7 through 11. You don't know what in the world I'm talking about. The two sheep and a cow. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. So there's some fine tune. There's some inconsistency. So when I was at the school of the prophets, I didn't change who I was and the type of critical thinker I was just because I embrace the doctrine of the 144,000 and the kingdom. When I learned about the gospel of the kingdom from the shepherd's rod message, I say it today, Seventh-day Adventists should have embraced that 100%. You can't argue with the kingdom of God. It's the first thing he said, seek. See, I'm about to start preaching. But anyway, let me go on. So, Adventists, the Seventh-day Adventist structure, the angel of the church of Seventh-day Adventists, they are enemies of God in this respect. They're never going to accept the gospel of the kingdom. They're never going to accept that. They're doomed. I'm not saying that no Seventh-day Adventist is going to accept it, because I did. No, I'm not saying no Laodicean is going to accept it. I did. And there's many others that have. But as a corporate body, it's doomed. It's doomed. They're never going to accept it. No more than the Jews accepted Jesus. Matter of fact, they're going to reject the gospel of the kingdom, Jesus Christ, in the form of this message, worse than they did Christ on the cross. Okay? So that's how adamant they're against it. So now I'm getting in Davidia, and Davidia, on studying this Hebrew Israelite religion, Davidia really does believe in a replacement theology as well. They do. Oh, they accept the kingdom. They believe that there's going to be a literal kingdom on earth before the second coming of Christ. They believe it. They believe it. But the problem, the next step they need to take is to believe who are the people that are God's chosen people. See, Davidia, like Adventism, like Christianity, they all believe a mark of the beast, a nuance of the mark of the beast. They believe that God's going to literally replace his people. Davidians believe this more than Adventists, because Adventists don't believe in a literal kingdom on earth before the second coming of Christ. Christians believe in Israel, and they got a real muddy understanding of the nation of Israel. Some of them believe that these Ashkenaz Jews that's in the Middle East right now, fake Jews, so-called the Jewish. Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying. Not Jew-ish. Jewish. Wish. W-I-S-H. They have a wish to be Jews. They are not real Jews. They Jew-wish. I'm trying to teach myself not to say the word Jew-ish anymore. Ish, I-S-H. No, they are Jew-wish, W-I-S-H. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Woo! So, I see the hand of God working with Christians to accept the Sabbath by way of the seventh Laodicea, Seventh-day Adventist Church. I see the hand of God, how he's working with Seventh-day Adventists to get them into the kingdom through the shepherd's rod message. They can't do it because they're not going to accept that. as a corporate body. And then I see how God is working with Davidians, super Laodiceans, to get them not to become Hebrew Israelites, but to accept who God's people really are. And I believe that African Americans, from all the evidence that I've seen, historical evidence, archaeological evidence, that blacks are part of the nation of Israel that God scattered in the diaspora, that God put in the diaspora. I believe that with all my heart, just as much as I believe that the kingdom is going to. See, God is trying to get us to come up and up. See, I'm going up Jacob's ladder. I just described to you the ceiling. At first, I was a Christian. God pulled me out of that, brought me into the Seventh-day Adventist church. I accepted the Sabbath, the sanctuary message, the 2,300 days, health message, medical missionary work. Matter of fact, that's what got me into Maryland. What got me into the Shepherd's Rod message is accepting the medical missionary message. Because I went to Maryland to go to a school called Charles Marshall Kennedy Institute for Urban Ministry in Frederick, Maryland, to learn more about, to be a more authentic Laodicean. See, it's nothing wrong with being a Laodicean. It's something wrong with the condition. Okay? Get that all, let's get things in proper perspective. While I was there, God rewarded me with more truth. While I was there, I was getting deeper into healthful living, medical missionary work, hot foot baths, literature evangelism, healthful cooking, witnessing, passing out tracts. I was getting deeper into that. Country living, perfecting my character, breaking my hold on sins that I had. And God rewarded me with the shepherd's rod message. Knowledge about the one. Then I got into the 144,000 in my last year of being there. And then God rewarded me with the kingdom message. Now, the 144,000, I didn't know where to place that. And then God gave me the kingdom. But anyway, that's more than 20 minutes. See, I'm getting happy. So I'm going to talk more about this ceiling. I yield the mic. Why am I saying that? I yield the mic. Part 3. That's what I should say. It's coming up.